Has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine.
You may think that since it's been so many years since Metal Gear Solid 3 came out, you need a huge plot refresher to remember what the heck is going on in the Metal Gear Solid series, especially since the game that actually precedes Metal Gear Solid 4 temporally is Metal Gear Solid 2. However, if you keep a few things in mind, we feel like even without a giant refresher course in the plots and finer points of the Metal Gear Solid series, you'll have a pretty firm grasp on what's going on in Solid Snake's series. One of the most important themes in Metal Gear is the conflict between greed and duty. At first, this can be epitomized by the conflict between Solid Snake and Liquid Snake. One man wants to take over the world and the other wants to save it. Later on, this conflict comes down to Volgin and the boss. The boss seems to be a bad guy, but really, she's just throwing away her own history and her own legend to save a world that Volgin is trying to take over and destroy. However, in Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, this whole conflict is going to have an added dimension in the militias versus the private military contractors of Outer Haven. Now, Outer Haven is being controlled by Liquid Ocelot, who, as you know, is basically Liquid Snake. He is a bad dude. He wants to take over the world with his own army of private military contractors.
Brother! It's been too long.
However, he's going up against militias, people who aren't fighting for money, but for their homes. As Solid Snake, you can choose to help the militias, or you can fight everybody. The choice is yours. However, this new battleground and this new battle externalizes the conflict that's always been at the center of Metal Gear in a new and interesting way. Another conflict that has always been a part of Metal Gear is the fight between man and machine. In fact, this has been many of the best conflicts in the series, as it usually pits you against a giant, roaring deathbot known as a Metal Gear. This conflict will also take on a new dimension in Metal Gear Solid 4 with the introduction of the Sons of the Patriots, a nanotechnology that is used in many different ways, all of them warlike. On one side, you've got the Beauty and the Beast Corps. Now, the Beauty and the Beast Corps were super sexy super soldiers who got shell-shocked in war and went insane, but their psyches were pieced back together not with glue, but nanotechnology, turning them into fearsome, bodacious killer babes. They all have names like Crying Wolf and Laughing Octopus. They're really bad, and they're totally monsters, even though they're kind of pretty. On the other hand, you have a new Foxhound unit known as Rat Patrol Team 1. Now, these guys are headed up by Meryl Silverberg, who you may remember from Metal Gear Solid. However, this isn't just a normal crack squad of soldiers. They're all bonded through nanotechnology so that they share all the same senses, which is really pretty weird if you think about it. However, where we think this conflict has the most room to blossom into something really crazy and weird is the fact that Metal Gears and the Metal Gear Solid series have always been external monsters that Snake had to grapple with in something like a hangar. But what about the fact that with this nanotechnology, you might have to wrestle with the Metal Gear within? Could the final fight in Metal Gear Solid 4 be a fist fight between Snake and himself?
Leave one.
Don't forget this face.
We'll have to find out. However, there's also a light side to Metal Gear Solid 4. It's not all crazy themes and serious issues. For example, the guy's name is Solid Snake, and on top of that, now he's got an eye patch. And that's definitely intentional, because another character in the series was known as the One-Eyed Uncle, and he was Snake. He was Naked Snake, also known as Snake from Metal Gear Solid 3, who later turned into the villain known as the Big Boss. Now, the fact that Snake has this eye patch isn't just an immature joke. It's also a thing that relates him back to this earlier character who is actually a clone of. So the question is, what will Solid Snake do? At the end of this game, will he become a big boss-like character? Will he become the villain in the next series of Metal Gear games? Or will he go the route of the boss and fade into history? Will he be on top of the world or under it at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4? So there you have it. You've got man versus machine, duty versus greed, and possibly even Snake versus himself. But even if all of these threads are totally wrapped up, as Kojima says they will be at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, one thing will still be certain. We'll be ready for Metal Gear Solid more.
Only 2 eggs today? Solidus must have taken the day off. 7, 8, 9, 2, 5, 9, 0, 3, 6, 0.